is the social media team's Super Bowl. That is the scheduled release day. You know, I think everything ranges from adorable to funny to maybe just downright embarrassing, depending on, you know, if the said NFL team was able to pull it off. Thank you guys very much for hopping in with us. It is another episode of the Manely Broncos Podcast. And that is the entirety and theme of this show here tonight. It is going to be a schedule release, if you will, where we talk about the schedule. And it might be a rough draft prediction, if you will, for the Denver Broncos of what the schedule will be. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we are certainly excited to talk about this schedule with y'all. It is a full house tonight too, so we have got you guys covered from head to toe. Obviously, in the bottom right is Jordan. You can follow him on Twitter at Jordan2Lopez. You can follow the unk of the group, Matty Mulls, over there in the bottom left-hand corner. Refrain from any Denver Nuggets, and Oklahoma Thunder playoff talk. I'm kidding.
Joker's a stud.
If you want to talk about it, that's fine. We may or may not interact in the comments. And then, of course, Brandon is back. From his trip. Make sure you follow him and Matty on X and in social media at Brandon Miller PO and Matty at Matty Mulls Pod, and then myself at Cameron Parker PO at Cameron Parker PO, and then the show handle, of course, at Manely Broncos. And hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button for MHRT Network. We are pushing and pushing and pushing for 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year. As we said, it is the teams social media. It's their Super Bowl. And before we dive into any of that, how is the full squad doing? You guys doing good?
Doing good.
Going good. You guys.
Well, I was told specifically not to talk about the Nuggets and Thunder series, so I can't tell you how I'm doing because it would involve that specific game.
Could be.
Well, if we're mentioning basketball, I'm doing awful. I want to. I don't know if I'll get banned on YouTube, but I want to do things that will get you banned.
I was gonna say that was the other layer to this is for people that wanted to talk about the Celtics and the Knicks. Well. You're also probably in an area where it might get dicey.
yeah.
Oh, the Celtics are.
You should. You missed it last week.
I got to say that one.
Jordan actually did a pod, like 5 minutes after one of the biggest disappointments. And so he powered through it. Manny, you doing good?
So yeah, Moose, like I'm not really a smack talker. That's not who I am. That's not how I live. I obviously am grateful for the way that it turned out last night. But one thing I think we can all agree on, Western Conference playoff basketball is freaking on another level. Mm-hmm. My sleep schedule is absolutely decimated. Yeah. It's just so hard. Like trying to go to bed at around midnight after that, and just like there's zero chance. Like, and then I've got to be up at 5 something the next day, so I can't like crush melatonin or whatever. I can't use anything to assist in falling asleep. So it's just like you're just laying there in bed getting frustrated. But basketball wise, like great series. It's been incredible. I would be shocked if OKC pulls it out in 6.
So you think it's going 7?
I mean, I'm not betting against Joker at home in Game 6, especially with how he was able to impose his will. Turn it around, if you will. You finally have a. I don't expect Russell Westbrook to airball like 3 3-pointers again, and Christian Brown's going to get a little more involved, like the role players, what limited ones that Denver actually employs will step up a bit. I think Porter Jr. has been waiting to get that last injection in his shoulder. It's probably going to happen. He's going to be more effective. So Like there are going to be no punches pulled by the Nuggets in Game 6.
There might be punches pulled by the referees, though. Anyway,
bro, like I'm not going to get into that, but we could go both ways.
No, hey, it's all good. But as far as the schedule release, it's what unites all of us together who are, or fans of different teams. It is the Broncos that unites us all. And the schedule came out, if you will. The schedule release came out because I think that's the thing, right? It's like we all know the opponents. We all know the opponents that the Broncos are going to be facing. It's just how is everything creative and stuff, for when they do the schedule. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to see it, but I did get a chance to kind of go through, what was it? Some of the AFC West ones. And obviously, the Chargers win it every single year. So, Jordan, I don't know if you've had the chance to see the Chargers one. It was a big Minecraft one. Awesome. And they crushed you like always. So, Brandon and Matty, if you've not had a chance to see it, it was incredible.
I mean, fantastic. They literally win every year, and it's not like they just win. It's not close, like not close every time. But yeah, they also
because it's their Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, if the team was actually half as good as the social media team, they'd be really, really good. That's how good their social media team is. But no, I mean, they killed it. Every single team that they mentioned absolutely killed it. They did a fun one with the Broncos.
Yeah.
Every single team has like a little nugget in it, and it's awesome.
The Giants one I thought was incredible because like when they play the Giants, you see the ghost of Saquon Barkley, coming in. I thought that was incredible. And then the Chiefs I thought was it was just kind of like a big. We'll get into the Broncos one because but it felt to a certain degree the same in the sense where they didn't really release a schedule per se. It was just like nothing but like a mutton busting, which I mean I think it was adorable. I mean you can't really say it was bad. It was just adorable. But the Chiefs was just like one big trivia show, and the Raiders were okay.
Yeah, the Raiders raided.
Yeah, the Raiders raided. Which, by the way, if you get a chance to see the Minecraft one, they show every AFC West team, and then they get to the Raiders.
I mean,
and it is like the Raiders are living in poverty.
I gotta go watch. I haven't seen the Chargers one. The only one I've seen is ours, so I guess I gotta go watch it, even though. It's the Chargers. I'm not gonna
lie. The very first team I searched up to look up for was the Chargers one. I'm not gonna lie.
The only reason I didn't watch the Chargers first, I'll be real, is because I was like, I need to know what the schedule is for this episode.
Yeah. Hey, research matters. Obviously, the Jaguars did the Ashton Hall.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they did the Ashton Hall.
Oh, I gotta see that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was. I have obviously there's 32 teams, so it's going to be a little bit, to go through every single one.
They did.
But yeah, and then what is it? The Bills did powered by AI, and not just like AI, but Allen Iverson.
That's okay. That's good. That's pretty good. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah. So, but. So looking into the schedule, because I actually have it pulled up here. What are your guys' takeaways? From
Man, I'm tired of these late bye weeks, man.
Yeah,
I kind of dig it.
It's not terrible. I'm just like,
they get an extended Thanksgiving, yeah.
That's true. Although I will say the Commanders coming out of the bye week, that'll be fun. I'm really excited for that game. But my official first takeaway that I had when I saw this is anger, because I will be in London 2 weeks after they play in London.
Oh,
I was like, I heard it was going to be in October. I'm like, I'm going to London in October. Maybe I get to like see the Broncos in London. It was not meant to be.
Let's do a quick little run through of this schedule. So the Denver Broncos will open up. It looks like at home against Cam Ward, and so basically the quickest takeaway of that one is I will say I think the Broncos would win any matchup for Cam Ward in his rookie year, but I would much rather be facing a guy like Cam Ward in week 1 than like week 12 or week 13 into the regular season. So, but boy, talk about an unbelievable draw for the opening game for Cam Ward.
It's brutal. Welcome to the NFL game for Cam Ward.
Well, welcome to the NFL. You get to play the NFL's best defense.
Unless they have the referees that did the Miami Virginia Tech game. That's about the only way they have a chance.
Yeah.
those were great refs.
Now, Jordan, I don't want to put too much, on, in terms of predicting the future, but I would assume you're going to that game.
To the Titans one?
Yeah.
I can officially say that I'm not going to the Titans one, but the week after in Indianapolis, I would say there is a more than 70% chance I'm going to that one.
Wow, so you heard it here first. Jordan really hates Cam Ward and does not want to be there for not just week 1, but to get a chance to see Cam Ward play.
Saying Anthony Richardson's the better quarterback from the state of Florida.
That's crazy.
So week 2 is the Indianapolis Colts. And that is obviously following the Titans. So back-to-back games of a home and away. You have the early slots of that one. So I believe it's a 2:05 in the first 2 weeks, and then the third week you will have the Chargers. And that is also going to be a 2:05 Mountain Time start. And then it begins to being the prime time slot. And the Denver Broncos, if you're actually lumping the London games as a primetime game, the Broncos will have 5. So the Bengals are going to be the first of 5 primetime games for the Denver Broncos, and that is going to be on Monday Night Football. I think the initial takeaway, just as far as of the schedule, they did good for the Broncos on primetime, or just games in general. Putting one of the best games that was last year, which was the Broncos and the Bengals, putting them on Monday Night Football. So that is week 4, and then week 5. Is the Philadelphia Eagles on the road for an 11 o'clock time slot. And then from there, they take a trip across the pond over in London for some nice fish and chips, some London pride, and some football against the Justin Fields-led New York Jets, led by Aaron Glenn. And that'll be at the glorious time of 7:30 in the morning here in North America. And then, of course, because there's like a 7 to 8 hour time difference, it's going to be around like 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon in London. So it isn't necessarily a primetime game, to be fair, but I get why people would say it's a primetime game.
Hold on real quick.
Yeah.
So we're on the road in Philly, and then we go to London. It wouldn't shock me if the players don't actually go home first before going to London, if they just leave straight from Philly to cross over, because they're already on Eastern time zone. They're probably going to just extend that out.
Yeah. Or what they do is, maybe they do what they did before or after, and that is maybe stay at the Greenbrier. I don't know. Like in that meantime, I don't know. But you might be right, Matty. to where they get a chance to meet to see their family before they head off to London. So after the Jets is the Giants, and the Giants will be home. Who will be the starting quarterback for the New York Giants? Will it be at Week 7? Will it be Jameis Winston, or will it be coming from London, Mr. High Knees, Russell Wilson himself? Starting for the New York Giants, or will a dart actually be thrown, and Jackson Dart will be starting by Week 7? Who knows?
All I'm saying is Russell Wilson playing this defense, throwing 2 pick sixes would feed families.
Would you guys rather face a rookie quarterback or Russell Wilson?
I don't think it matters. But
Russell Wilson is a rookie quarterback.
There we go.
It wouldn't be 2 pick sixes though. It'd be strip
Sacks.
sixes.
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters necessarily.
No, it doesn't matter. I just want it for the memes.
Yeah. I will say though, I would like it to be Russ, considering it didn't happen last year.
Yeah.
It was Justin Fields last year, so yeah. Now at that point, you could bet that with it being Russ's reunion, if he is starting, it might be a little bit more than 50-50 of boos in the crowd if Russ is starting. So that is going to be a home game, and that is going to be what looks to be 205. Then followed up is going to be a home game against the Dallas Cowboys, and that looks to be a 225 slot. And then they play the AFC South again, where they go away for the Houston Texans, and that's going to be at 11 o'clock time slot in Week 9. Then we get the Raiders. And that looks to be on the Thursday night game, like the actual Thursday night game, with no holiday. And we'll get to that in a second. And then they play the Chiefs for the first of 2 games, just like the Raiders after that. And that'll be the home game for 225. And then, of course, is the bye week. And that bye week will be on Week 12. And that's when they play the Washington Commanders on Sunday Night Football. So you get the Bo Nix versus Jaden Daniels matchup on Sunday Night Football. That they, like I said, I thought that the primetime games, I thought they did just right. For you basically taking Bo Nix against Jaden Daniels to maybe one of the best games we had seen since last year, or of last year, being the Broncos and the Bengals, and then putting them on prime time. So they did good, because I think one of my worries is that they were going to do like some random game like on Monday Night Football, because like last year they did the Browns, and I don't think anybody had the Browns on its bingo card for a primetime game for the Broncos. So that was kind of nice. And then
big thing real quick, sorry.
Yeah.
In between Week 9 and Week 13, 28 days in between games on the road. So 2 games at home, and then we have our bye week. So that's going to be a nice chance to get right if we need it right there in the middle of the season.
And I like the fact you have the Chiefs, then the bye week, then the Commanders. It isn't like you have like Chiefs and bang, Commanders, then bye, right? So I at least like that. Then they finish its next slate against the Raiders Week 14, and that'll be away. And then the Green Bay Packers, which I thought actually had a chance to be a primetime game. That was just my guess, but no, it'll be a home game around Week 15, so December 14th, and that'll be about 2:20 in the afternoon. And then Travis Hunter makes his return to Colorado in Week 16 on December 21st. That'll be a 2:05 game, and then the war gift, the PTSD war gift, is now entering the frame, because the Denver Broncos have a Christmas Day game. a Christmas Day game against the Kansas City Chiefs where they wrap up its schedule with the Chiefs on the road. And yeah, so they have the Christmas Day game, and hopefully it's nothing like the Rams and, of course, the New England Patriots. Of note, by the way, and I realized that that this was a loss in the Sean Payton era, but with Russell Wilson at the helm, I don't know how much credit you want to put on, that. Obviously it should be in the sense of a win and loss category. When he was with the Saints, Sean Payton was undefeated in holidays. So, and then they end the season against the Los Angeles Chargers at home. And it looks like that is one of the games, because they do that every year. That is the one game where it's a definitive Saturday or Sunday game. So after a quick little rundown of that, what's your guys' takeaway?
I mean, I'll go first. Just right off the bat, I do like how our first two games are very favorable, at least in my opinion. I know we already opened up as like a 6.5 point favorite against the Titans. So I do like how the first two games are favorable for us, because the next three are going to be the ultimate test for us. I think that week 3, 4, 5 game, I think, at least in my opinion, I would like to hear your guys' thoughts. I think that 3-game stretch is by far our most brutal stretch of the season, because just with the opponents that we have. So I do like we do have those 2 games to kind of lump in our way through, get our feet wet and stuff like that. Then we get those 3 big games right after that.
Brandon, after you take your, I hope that's water.
I refuse to answer that based on the grounds that I don't want to. I agree. I think it's going to be a pretty nice opening schedule for us with the Titans and the Colts. One other thing I'll say about the Titans game, we're going to see real quick, was Dan Moore worth that contract? Because that's going to be an immediate trial by fire.
Yeah.
Although I will say, as difficult as that stretch after that may look, we'll see, because the Chargers, I mean, they still kind of are the Chargers. Their biggest, I think, weapon now is going to be Omarion Hampton, and what that looks like is going to be a little bit scary, but they still have, and unfortunately, I mean, they've drafted all the players that I wanted, which is great, because Omarion Hampton and Trey Harris are both going to be playing against the Broncos instead of for the Broncos, but they're still rookies. I mean, Omarion Hampton, he's a very talented player, and running backs, the rookie status doesn't really matter, but their just lack of pass catchers is going to be, I think, telling, especially against this defense. And I mean, Trey Harris, I think he's good, but he is going to be a rookie, and that is something where, they might struggle a little bit. So you never know. A big part of that too is going to be is Mike Williams even going to be healthy by the time that game is played? You never know. I mean, I know it's only 3 weeks into the season, but stranger things have happened, and that's not, unfortunately, very out of the cards. And then does Ladd McConkey make a big leap? We don't know. So I don't know if the Chargers game is going to be that difficult. But I do think that 3-game stretch has the potential to be hard. The Bengals, I mean, they're obviously the Bengals, but their defense is still terrible, except for Trey Hendrickson, who I don't know if he's going to be playing this year. I mean, I think he will, but who knows what's going to happen with that contract situation, and it is at home, so that'll be nice. The Eagles, I think, is going to suck, so we'll see. But I agree. I do think that's going to be a really difficult stretch. But the rest of it, I'm pretty okay with. I really like the Commanders. Scare me, but I like playing them out of the bye. I think that'll be a really fun game.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a really hard game, but I think it'll be fun. That's going to be a good one to watch. And then we kind of have ping pong back and forth of hard, easy, and it's you get the Commanders and then you get the Raiders, and obviously the Raiders are more challenging now than I think maybe they ever have been, but until they prove it to me, they're still the Raiders. Packers are good, and then Jags, it's what's going to happen? Is Liam Cohen going to turn this ship around? Obviously, Travis Hunter being there is a big a big addition that they made, and by week 16, like that'll probably have like borne some fruits. Like he'll be kind of in the rhythm, and we'll see. But I do think that's late enough in the season that, like, if they're going to come out of the gate trying to play him like as the two-way player that he is, the defense and offense side of the ball, I think they'll, like, if they have any inkling at all that they want to do that with him, I think the best way to do it is like to start out that way, because I don't see a situation where you can say you're a wide receiver and then go like 3 weeks and then say like, okay, you're a wide receiver and now you're a cornerback. Like, I think you probably just need to like try it and then move away from it than the other way around. And I think that's late enough in the season that, like, if it doesn't work, like, you're not going to keep seeing that happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, the biggest kind of takeaway there to me is like, it's going to be, you get like kind of a brutal stretch. I think as much as like the 3 through 5 is difficult, depending on how it shakes out, 13 through the rest of, like, just coming out of the bye week could be pretty hard. I mean, obviously the Commanders, we'll see what happens with Geno, Ashton Genty, and the Raiders, but that could be, a dangerous team a little bit. Packers obviously are good. Jaguars depends on what happens there, like with that offense and Liam Cohen and the weapons like Brian Thomas Jr. obviously was good already, and then Travis Hunter coming in. So, and then obviously you get the Chiefs in Kansas City, and then you get the Chargers again. So that could actually be, I think, maybe more of a brutal stretch than the 3 through 5 weeks. But it just kind of depends on really how the Raiders shake out, how the Jaguars shake out. But that could be actually a really tough way to end the year, like 6 straight weeks in a row coming out of the bye. Like, that could suck.
Yeah. Jordan, I know you have a question. I'm going to get to Matty and then go ahead and pose your question. Matty, what is your initial takeaway?
So there are a few main points. 9 home games, which is great. Gotta love it. 9 home games, and of course our bye week. That long stretch, as I mentioned, between week 9 and week 13 where we're home. That's great. 28 straight days. And with the one in week 13, it's out on the East Coast, but it's a Sunday night football game, so it's really not gonna like throw us off too much. And then the other game, Central Time Zone, like we're fine. That's not a huge lift. A couple of things. We're playing the Jets and Giants in consecutive weeks. It would have been nice if like both of those were away games potentially, and they just like stay there. Same with the Cowboys and Texans the following 2 weeks. Like, it would have been dope if those would have both been away games, and like they could have just hung out in Texas, like to have that naturally built in, extension. The other thing I'd like to mention, we have 2 stretches where we come off of a game and then 4 days later we play again. And both of those spurts, the second game is against a division foe. I have counteracting thoughts on that. One, it's like weird. We know both of those teams exceptionally well. So the ramp up isn't going to be as significant. The Chiefs, that'll be the second time we face them. So like that's going to be a little less drastic too. But the rest that we might need to be fully healthy going into those games, it's just back and forth. So a lot of fun things to pull out of the logistics of how the schedule fell and all of that. But I think overall it could have been significantly worse.
Oh, 1,000%. Jordan, what's your question?
It's a fun one. If you were granted one win for this schedule for the Broncos, who would you grant that win against?
The Chiefs on Christmas.
Easily.
Okay.
Because
Chiefs in Kansas City on Christmas, no brainer.
And then Bo Nix just goes and like pees on the arrowhead in the middle of the field, like just great.
like the Grinch Stole Christmas.
It's like take that big old leak. Plus, like the Charger game's going to be big, but maybe it's not important for either team by then. Like we don't know, but that I guarantee that Chief game's going to matter. So, yeah.
I have a different one actually. The Chiefs one is my second one, but I would like the Broncos to start off on on a hot note to start the season for like the first time in forever, and I'd get that win and grant it to the Eagles. We can somehow get that Eagles game to be a win. You know, maybe start off 4-1. You know, I mean that
Going into London.
Yeah, I mean, I think starting off the season is going to be crucial for Denver.
I think you could pick either one in the sense of like, if you could do the Bengals or the Eagles, like of that stretch, I think it would have been okay.
Bengals will matter more because AFC, but
yeah. But I think that for me, I will go a little bit different in a sense, and maybe this is just the Bo Nix narrative and and everything. But I would love to see to grant a W in favor of the Broncos, not a W in favor of the Commanders.
That'd be awesome.
And because at that point it's prime time, and it's also the Dan Quinn Bowl, and it's going to be one where there's going to be a lot of emotions in that game. And I think if you can come away with the victory and Bo plays exceptionally well, I think you're going to see a
war.
And I think you're going to see a bunch of people when you look at it from the landscape of at that point too, with it being week 15, depending on how Jaden Daniels is doing overall in the season, because I think, I don't mean to be too biased here, but I think that Jaden Daniels has more of a stronger chance for a sophomore slump than Bo Nix does. So if you're looking at it from week 13, I think that who knows what Jaden Daniels is going to be like with his sophomore slump by then. It could be the reverse, and it's a completely worst case scenario, if you will. And he's still playing, at a pretty high level. So I just think that, it's going to be one where after that game, I think there will be people saying, man, we probably missed the boat here, in terms of evaluating Bo Nix at that point. So I think that it's overall, one of the things, and you guys touched on a little bit, is like, I like the idea that you have a hard game, then a good game, then a hard game, or a hard game, and then a rather semi-easy game. Because I think that too often, sometimes, like when you get these schedules, there's a murderer's row, it's easy to pick right out of the gate. And for the Broncos in the schedule, there really isn't like a murderer's row that just really stands out to you per se. I mean, I think if you were to say it in the beginning, it probably is from that Chargers, Bengals, and Eagles standpoint, like at least early on. But there really isn't a case where it's like, oh wow, this stretch of games just is very alarming. Because I think that it would have been hard, looking at a schedule and having like a murderer's row of like the Chiefs, Bengals, Eagles, and then maybe like the Commanders at that point or something. Like having like a 4 stretch of games or something like that would have been insane.
I mean, we're biased against the Raiders, but we might be going into that game 4 days rest after playing at Houston and saying, well, damn, like the Raiders are, like maybe they're sitting, I don't know by then, but probably like 6-3 or something. Like would it shock you with, Pete Carroll and what they've done offensively? Like it wouldn't, if they like won some games 19-16 type of thing, and being able, like, I don't know, man, like that, like look at it at Houston. Maybe the Raiders are good. Maybe they're a solid team. at home against Kansas City, which sucks, at Washington, at Las Vegas, at home against Green Bay. There's potential for that to be like, that's a 6-game stretch in our season that really is going to make or break us. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to write off the Raiders. And by the way, they still got that Max Crosby guy that gets into our butthole immediately. So yeah.
I get it, but I'm just saying like there's not really a situation where you're like, this just feels like a murderer's row.
We're not playing like Baltimore and then Cincinnati and then
Philly
and then Philly and then I understand that.
Yeah. Now here's a question, and we always have this conversation around this schedule release time for you guys. What do you guys feel is the one game, and this is a kind of schedule I feel like would be a bit hard because of the fact there is no murderer's row. That's a trap game, and we have this conversation ever so often. Do you think that there is a game on this Broncos schedule, and it could be more than one to a degree, that just screams, this is a trap game for the Broncos? We'll start with you, Brandon. Which, by the way, should we define what a trap game is for people that don't know what it is in the...
You know what? Let's define it, just because also I feel like we could all have different definitions of trap game. Like what definition are we assuming we're talking about here?
I think it's a game that we're going to be favored by 6 or more points, but the handle, like the money line, for instance, would probably be 80+% on the Broncos to win. Like just a heavy favorite.
I like that. Maybe just because me and Matty are degenerates, but I like that definition.
Man, that's tough, because I'm like, I don't even know how many of these games are like going to be in that level of, like, if that's the definition we're going for, that's probably going to put us in like the Jets, the Giants, maybe one of the Raiders games, maybe both the Raiders games. I don't know if I see maybe the Colts. I don't know if I see that many of these games that I think we're going to be that, like, in that situation.
I think I got mine.
Yeah.
I think I got my game.
Do you want some time?
I'll say the first Raiders game.
First Raiders game.
First Raiders game, because I could see that being a situation where we hadn't played them yet. You hadn't seen that matchup yet. We might be in that, like, that heavily favored. And it could be, and it's a bit like late enough into the season that, I mean, I know it's at home, but like that also kind of leads into it with like us being favored. Late enough in the season where like things could have started to gel. Gino is looking like a pretty good quarterback, like he really is normally. I mean, like I'd say he's probably solidly in the 12 to 15 range. And Ashton Genty is cooking. And they have some things happen with their dudes on defense. Specifically more Max Crosby, but I'll say the Raiders game.
Raiders. I'll give Matty some time to think.
I got it. It's fine.
Oh, you got it?
Go ahead, Jordan.
My game I'm picking is the Jaguars game.
Jaguars.
There we go.
I thought about that one. I didn't know if we'd be heavily favored enough, though.
Me and Matty just same wavelength here. But my reason why for this Jaguars game, I do believe that the Broncos are going to be in contention for the AFC West title. I think they're going to push the Chiefs to the brink of it. And the next game after the Jaguars is the Christmas game against the Chiefs.
4 days later.
Yeah, literally 4 days later. So the Jaguars at this time maybe not good right now. They're probably, playing for maybe a draft pick and maybe a better spot in the selection. So listen, despite that though, the Jaguars individually, they have good individually talented players though.
They do.
That's why the game is a bit scary, because if you overlook them, especially at home, you can get upset big time. And I think that spread is going to be more than 6. It might be more than a touchdown, if I'm being honest. And especially with the Chiefs game after, that's my trap game.
It's funny. Maybe we're just all on the same wavelength, the three of us, because that's the game that I immediately went to. It was either that or I don't even know if you could count a Jets and a Giants game back to back, but just having like the Jets after the like the Eagles, that doesn't necessarily make it a trap game, because you would typically see a big game after that, like after said trap game, and that's not the case. And yeah, so I think it would certainly be the Jacksonville Jaguars. And you said it perfectly. There's just far too much talent on Jacksonville. And who knows what Travis Hunter, is going to be like, as Brandon was talking about earlier. Like, how good will he be by, because we're also talking about if he's going to be playing multiple sides of the ball, like, you're talking about like week 16, he might be really well conditioned at that point at week 16. And obviously he's not the only one. Like, there's other players on the roster, but yeah, it's
going to be lit seeing Patrick Surtain line up across from him.
Yeah.
Like in Colorado, like that's going to be a movie for
that jersey swap at the end of the game is going to be
pretty epic. Yeah.
Maybe that is why Jahdae Barron chose 12, so that he can make CU fans immediately forget about Travis Hunter wearing number 12.
Well, apparently he got torched in like the mini camp or whatever, right? Like by everyone. So
you know who he got torched by?
No, we're not doing this.
We're
not doing this.
What?
You're the receiver that's better than Restrepo?
Yeah, okay. If Restrepo scores a touchdown against us in week 1, you're not going to hear the end of it.
Jordan's going to murder me in my sleep.
We might win 45-7, but if that's 7 points as a Restrepo, I'm going crazy.
It's okay. We know that Pat Bryant had a faster 40 than Xavier Restrepo.
Oh my
god. Obviously it's early, and for people that are in the chat, I saw Josh trolling like usual in the comments, saying 4-13.
But he said that was going to be his record in my fantasy football league.
Yeah, in our fantasy football league. Do you guys have like, and we won't necessarily go like win for like all the games on here, but like, do you guys have? And we had this conversation last year. And Jordan, when you were doing Broncos Av, I know you guys did this, last year as well. But like the conversation of ceiling and floor, and last year it felt like the consensus was the floor was 7-10, and the ceiling was 10-7 in terms of consensus. Going into this year, Matty, what would you put the floor and the ceiling for this team from a wins and loss total?
My floor is 10 wins.
That you actually think is like 10 wins true, like a true 10 wins.
Well, I mean, that's the floor. You're asking for the range.
Yeah.
I think the ceiling is 14 wins.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there's a pathway for things to click, and us just have been right on the skill position players. And then one more year with Bo Nix and his development, another year where the boa constrictor just tightens around the NFL's neck more, talking about our defense with no holes as of right now. Like, yeah, there's a very real pathway that like maybe the only games that we drop, like you're looking at like the Eagles, you're looking at one of the games against the Chiefs, and maybe like we drop one more game somewhere. Like there's a very real possibility that we have 14 wins.
Brandon? Because I was going to say yours and my...
This is where it gets tough, because like I love the optimism. I don't think it's out of the question that a floor is less wins than we had last year.
So 9.
So, like, I would say I'm going to be a bit more
Cynical?
Or pessimistic?
Cautious here. I'm going to say the floor is probably like,
Just kidding.
Okay. I'll say the floor is probably like 9 and 8, and I'll say the ceiling is 12 and 5.
Okay.
Because to me, there's a couple things that go into this. This defense could absolutely be just elite. Best defense in the league. Like, I absolutely think, again, I'm being cautious with this. Could we win 13 games? Absolutely. But I'm just thinking about, like, the sophomore slump exists. And really the thing to me that is going to define this season is, to me, it kind of comes down to 3 things. Obviously, Bo Nix. Bo Nix is the biggest thing by far, not even close. What's he going to look like year 2? Sophomore slump again. That's a thing that happens, unfortunately. Like, you want to think that maybe in this system and like with the amount of experience that Bo has, like, that might not be the case, but I don't know. Like, it could happen. And on defense, as good as this defense could be, and again, best defense in the league, I would say that's more than in the cards. I would say that's like closer to like death taxes and the Broncos having the best defense in football. But I do think there's some things that give me pause. Linebackers are one of them. I don't really know. I still don't really know the health of Dre Greenlaw. I feel like there's been things kind of going out there. I heard there's like another minor injury. Not terrible, but if he's healthy, like, sure, that's great. The other thing to me, though, is like, does Nick Benito keep this up? Does he continue to play at the level he's been playing? Like, I think it's absolutely possible, but I also think that, when you have like one really, really good year of production, it can kind of, that's not always guaranteed to be sustainable. Like, that could dip a little bit. I don't know. And the other thing with that is like, what's going to happen in the secondary, specifically with like, if my prediction currently is that Jahdae Barron is probably going to play more in the nickel. I could be wrong. He also could play maybe a split of in the nickel. Maybe he plays also outside more. But this comes down to, what does Riley Moss also look like? Like, does he kind of keep up that trend? But he also didn't look fantastic for part of the year. Like, there were some times where he struggled and got kind of torched a little bit. But, if he continues on that upward trajectory like that, that's going to be an incredible secondary. But those are some of the just hesitations I have on the defensive side of the ball. And then specifically pass catchers on offense, wide receiver room specifically. Cortland Sutton is Cortland Sutton. But other than that, everyone else in the wide receiver room is like a little bit of a question mark. Marvin Mims, what is that role going to look like? I don't know. Based on what we saw, my initial reaction is like, give him the ball more, make him a bigger part of your offensive game plan and see what he can do. And like, he could explode. He could be a really, really good wide receiver for you. Evan Ingram, are the injuries going to hamper him at all? He's also 31. What's he going to look like? Are we going to actually have a tight end? Finally, for the first time in, years. What is RJ Harvey going to look like? Like, I feel like we're putting all of our eggs in the RJ Harvey basket, to be honest, at the running back position. Cause like, we could not run the ball. Like, we have not had a good running game last year at all. And right now it's kind of like RJ Harvey. And there's some other guys in that room, but it depends on really, like, does Audric Estime do anything? Like, does he make any kind of a splash? Because I really feel like he didn't do a ton for us last year. So that's going to, Jaleel McLaughlin's a great back, but he's not really going to be your feature back. Like, that's just not kind of what he does. And then Blake Watson, doesn't see nothing basically from him. So that's a question mark too. I do think RJ Harvey's going to be really good. But that's, to me, again, like just a little bit of a, I don't know. And then other than that, like Devon Vele, he was good. I mean, is he going to ascend to, like, is he going to take a step up? Who's your official wide receiver 2? And like, is that going to be Mims? Because like Vele and Sutton, again, kind of similar skill sets. I don't know if you want to have one, like both of those guys, your primary 2 weapons. There's some questions where I'm like, I could see it happening where we win less games. Like it could be 9, but I also could see this happening where Mims pops off. RJ Harvey is an absolute dog as a rookie running back for us. This defense is the best defense in football. Nick Benito continues to ascend and like challenges for the league lead in sacks again. And like the flip side of the negative that I just talked about is like, we could also win 13 games. We could win 14 games, but I don't know. I mean, there's some things that I'm like, Troy Franklin, I'm not even factoring him into this because I'm like, I don't know what we're going to see from him. So there's some questions that I have.
Yeah. And Paul mentions, and says Debbie Downer, I maybe to a level, I would say maybe a little bit, but I mean, you're being also a realist though, because it's a real conversation in a sense. Cause like once training camp rolls around, what is the biggest thing everybody's clamoring for? Health, like stay healthy, and health is a big thing. And injuries also are a huge thing during the season. Like if we get a significant injury to a rather prominent player, that will significantly dampen the win and loss total possibly, for the Broncos. Jordan, what say you?
So the floor for me, I think, is 9-8. I think this team at least gets 9 wins. And I don't think that's a cautious approach by me. I just think the minimum game they'll win it will be 9. I think I'm pretty confident in that. I can see them winning 14 games. I can see it. But for right now, I'll just put their ceiling at 13 just to play it safe. But 14
13 and 4.
Just to play on the safe side, I'll say 13. But this is an interest. I think the schedule plays in Denver's favor and how it went week by week. Again, I do understand, and I am scared of the sophomore slump. I do believe it's for sure a thing. The only thing that is giving me a lot of hope going to the season and that sophomore slump is that we have Sean Payton, and we have a head coach that can mitigate some of those slumps throughout the season if he does have. So if we did have a younger coach, I would be a lot more worried, and I'd put the floor way lower and the ceiling lower. But since we do have one of the best offensive coaches to grace the game and an experienced head coach and all that, it does give me a lot more confidence that the sophomore slump is not, a for sure thing when it comes to Knicks and the season. And actually, I can probably make the argument that out of all the sophomore QBs, Knicks probably has the least chance to get the sophomore slump just because.
That's what I'm seeing.
But yeah,
and his age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Knicks is 35, 36.
Yeah, right. So like super mature.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be the senior slump.
That's true. That's true. Shit, I did not think about that.
I'm kidding. I love you.
No, floor 9-8. I'll put the ceiling at 13, but I do see Matty's point in the 14 wins though, because I can see you sweeping the Chiefs.
Well, I know why Jaden Daniels could have a sophomore slump, because his mama be everywhere. Because Jaden Daniels' mama be everywhere, and that boy trying to talk to some girls, and he cannot.
You sure it's that? Or he does have the best head coach of all time.
He
right?
does. He does.
Yeah.
You're right. All they do is Quinn, no matter what.
That was good. I think 9-8 is a good floor. I do. I think that 9-8 is a pretty solid one. I will say though, I like the idea of stretching it to 13. 14 might be a little bit too much, but I think that the thing that it will get you, I think, to be just cautiously optimistic, I will just say 12. But I think what's going to get you to like the 13 wins or even the 14 wins is we're talking about games that you're stealing, that you had no business stealing. Like, for instance, like if, for instance, the Super Bowl hangover is real, right? The Super Bowl hangover is real. And even if it's away and you steal one against the Eagles, truly, I know we talked about that as a granted win. You steal one against the Eagles, and depending on what transpired following the Bengals game, like you're having definitely a different conversation about this season if you beat the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. And then I think, depending on, I think the Dallas game is probably one of the biggest wild cards on the entire schedule. Like just opponent wise, it is the biggest, wild card in terms of opponent. You have no idea what team's going to be showing up. They could show up and literally be the best team in the NFC East, or they could just show up and be the Dallas Cowboys that everybody's been accustomed to seeing. So, but if you're able to steal a victory here and there with, teams like the Commanders or even the Eagles, and I think that as far as the division goes, what's going to help you even get to 12 to possibly even, 14 is you have to at least, and this should probably be the goal for any divisional team, but like at least be 4-2 in division. If you can be at least 4-2 in division, I think it'll be a big thing. And I think that, it'll be fascinating because I do like this point in terms of the play of Bo Nix will dictate the season. But I think that the part that I think will be very interesting is given the fact he had the broken back last year, how exactly will the load management be from the staff and to ensure that he's, well accustomed for the entire season and, is he using his legs a little bit more than normal? Whether that's schemed up runs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because I would, and I know he had the broken back. I would love to see the Broncos use his legs just a little bit more on read options, QB draws, if you will, QB powers. So like designed runs, I would love that, getting the chance to use his athleticism just a little bit more. Because that was like one of the biggest takeaways from his rookie year, right? Everybody was so shocked to see his athleticism. Now, the hard thing to predict now, considering that, between the NFC North and the AFC West, being the two toughest divisions now in football, who are you guys most confident in? We'll start with Matty. Who are you most confident in that the Broncos will sweep in division?
Honestly, I gotta say the Chargers.
Wow,
and I'm probably alone there. I just don't like looking at them. Najee Harris isn't like saving them. Hampton's good, right? He's solid. Their offense also could use an infusion of talent, but like I don't fear them. It's weird. Like I fear what the Raiders could be a lot more than what the Chargers are. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're going to match up well against them. They're not going to be able to, like, how do they put us in hell? I don't know. Like on either side of the ball, how do they do it? I don't know that, but I know a lot of ways that we will have the advantage on them. So, like, they don't have an Ashton Genty, for instance. And they don't have a Max Crosby either in my opinion, right? Like there's just a lot that there's more that I fear from the Raiders than there is from the Chargers. That's not to say that we are going to sweep them, but the question was, who do I feel most confident in that we could sweep? And out of the three options, it's definitely the Chargers.
Brandon?
I'm going to also say the Chargers. Just because, like, I don't know, but the Chargers look good every year. Like, this is the story of the offseason. Everyone loves the Chargers. The Chargers are going to go to the Super Bowl. The Chargers are going to win the AFC West. And yeah, like, is it possible that they improve? Absolutely. Like Jim Harbaugh, no joke. I already talked about, I like O'Marion Hampton. I like Troy Harris. But I just, like, they need to show it to me. They did just show me that they could beat me. And I feel like that they could beat us. And, like, I feel like that's not been really the case recently. We've played them well. They still, like, have one proven wide receiver. And I say proven in air quotes because, like, he was a rookie last year. And I mean, he was still good. Led McConkey. Again, I'm mad that they drafted him because I wanted him. But, yeah, I mean, Justin Herbert, like, fantastic quarterback, but the Chargers are just the Chargers. And until they prove to me that they're not the Chargers, I'm going to pick the Chargers. Like, I just said Chargers 18 times, but that's just what they are. Like, there's a reason that it's a verb.
There's a reason it's a verb. That's a good one. Jordan?
I'm going to be a little bit different. And just for this matter, and I think Brandon made great points, but I got to see the Chargers do it in order for me to take them serious. So I'm not going to have the Chargers as the most scariest team for me in the division. And I'm not going to have the Chiefs as that because I can go on for days, but we should have swept them last year. And you can make an argument that we should have swept them the year before in Sean Payne's first year. But besides saying that, I think the Raiders scare me a bit. And I know everybody likes to make fun of the Raiders. I mean, they are kind of the, butt of the division, and people love to make fun of them, but they got better. And I think with Tom Brady now having more say in stuff, they're not going to be as dysfunctional. They have now an experienced head coach that knows what he's doing. They're not going to be that laughing stock of the division. So, listen, they got Ashton Genty. They got the wide receiver they drafted in the 4th round, which I think is, if the Raiders don't ruin him, he can potentially be a stud. They got Geno Smith, who's a reliable quarterback. The Raiders, and always our games with the Raiders are back and forth. Those 2 games are going to scare me.
Well, so the question was, who are we most confident that we could sweep?
Well, no, if we're going to talk about sweep, I'm not – this is going to sound crazy. It's going to be the Chiefs.
That's not that crazy. We should have swept them last year.
Listen, I understand it's the Chiefs, and there's a love affair with the Chiefs on social media and stuff like that. And by the way, I completely got Cameron's question wrong to begin this, so I'm sorry about that, Cam. But
yeah, we all read things wrong.
Yeah, my bad. But I
You're
do
good.
believe the Chiefs is the one to sweep this season. In Sean Payne's first year, I mean, very close. Again, I mean, if we don't play like absolute garbage that Thursday night game, we win that game. So that's one. And then last year, we already know the story about that. I mean, we don't have to talk about last year. So,
but I do agree with you about the Raiders. I agree with you about the Raiders.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. If the question was that, then yes. But yes.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the thing, right? Is like it's going to end up being the 2 top divisions in football is, the NFC North and the AFC West. Like it's not close. Matty, what about? Did you already say?
Yeah, I led the Charger hate.
Okay, Charger hate. Man, this because I feel like we always ask this question every year. And now that it's at the point where it's probably the toughest division in football, it's a hard one to answer because every single team, it's going to just be it is going to be a true 4-man race, you know? So yeah, I probably will say Raiders. Actually, as far as like, but again, like I think, and this should go for any division, is like if you can go 4-2 against any of your division rivals, you know, that's a recipe for success for you. Like that is a true recipe for success, and it's a good recipe for success for winning the division as well. Like if you can be able to sweep one opponent, and if you luck out and sweep another opponent, you're talking about a much better record for you to, you know, win the division as well. So ideally 4-2 is the best type of situation for anybody in the division. And I just think but at the same time, I think the Raiders are tricky. Like I think the Raiders are tricky because they are, I think they're set up in a way that is, they do have Geno Smith, and record wise, Geno Smith is undefeated against Bo Nix, whether or not it was one game, and he was the Seattle Seahawks game. But that said, he's also kind of paired up a little bit with Chip Kelly, and this is Chip Kelly's second go-around in the NFL. So what will be different this go-around for Kelly in the NFL? That's going to be the interesting thing for you know, just in terms of just overall NFL, is like what is Chip Kelly got up his sleeve, you know, for, you know, the AFC West and others. But all in all, I think it's going to be a fun season, and I think that it's going to be a fun one to kind of break it all down. And I think that, and I will say, it is going to be incredible when we do get the moment that all of us have been waiting for, and that is on Thursday Night Football. On Christmas Day, we beat the Kansas City Chiefs to sweep them, and in doing so, it is none other than a game-winning touchdown reception by Pat Bryant. It would just be absolutely incredible for any hater that's in the chat or on the stream to witness something like that, of, you know, that magnitude of Pat Bryant getting a game-winning reception against the Kansas City Chiefs and capping off a 1,000-yard season, and thus establishing himself as wide receiver 2 alongside Cortland Sutton.
Wouldn't take it that far.
You know what's a fun, a sexier scenario? Quarterback RJ Harvey throws to wide receiver Bo Nix for the go-ahead touchdown.
That would actually be pretty awesome.
That would be great.
I was just going to say RJ Harvey breaks off an 85-yard touchdown run, but
so we didn't get a chance to actually talk about this, but now that we have our full team here, and we're wrapping up, and we're all talking for fun vibes now. Not that we weren't before. What are your guys' expectations for Harvey? Like, if you were going to put a solid, expectation for purpose yards, like obviously receiving and rushing for Harvey, what would be the solid number?
This is also difficult because Sean Payton likes his committees.
Yeah.
But there's only 4 running backs that he's taken that have been higher, and they've all worked out.
I have an answer.
And I won't give the number just yet, but it's above 1,000.
Your number's over 1,000?
Between rushing and combined. Rushing and receiving.
We're doing combined?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's not crazy. Okay. Just off of quick research, I chat GPT this. Don't know if this is real or not. I looked up Sean Payton's rookie running back stat lines. Again, blame ChatGPT if this is completely wrong, not me. But Alvin Kamara, his rookie year, had 700 rushing yards and 800 receiving yards. That, if that's true, that's insane. Reggie Bush had 500 rushing yards and 700 receiving yards his rookie year. So that's also insane. I think it's more of the Reggie Bush stat line. I think he's going to get over 500 yards, and I can see, I won't say 700 receiving yards. I'll say like 600. That's pretty good. That's a pretty good rookie season.
It is actually not wrong, Jordan, on Alvin Kamara.
Okay, so there you go.
Kamara had 728 yards rushing, and then 800 yards receiving. And then that following year, he had 883 yards rushing and 709 yards receiving.
Okay, so if we were doing a ceiling and a floor for RJ Harvey, I think his ceiling is the Alvin Kamara rookie year, and I think his floor is the Reggie Bush year. Because Alvin Kamara also had 8 rushing and 5 receiving touchdowns. He had 13 total touchdowns. Reggie Bush had 8 total touchdowns.
13 touchdowns for Harvey would be a reduction of 9. So that'd be a letdown for him coming off of 22. Oh, wait, that was just 22 rushing touchdowns, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Insane season. I was going to say 1158 is my number.
1150. That's like you're way too much into math, buddy. Like that is like a like exact answer. Like not like 1200, 1300, 1158.
Well, then go bet the over.
Hey, his over under is going to be very interesting to see what they put out.
So you're saying 1100 or so, like, right?
No, 1158.
1158. 1158.
I said what I said. God, Cameron.
Gotta push the glasses. Braden, what about you?
I'd say like 850 rushing and maybe like 300 receiving.
So you're sticking with the 1158.
Yeah, except he did the $1. I'll take a little lower. So you said 1150. Great minds think alike.
And Jordan, you said the floors or the ceiling is 100 or 1500?
Yeah, the ceiling's 1500. The floor would be 1100. I don't know. I'm expecting a big year from Harvey. I know it's a rookie year, but I think Sean Payton's in love with this dude.
Maybe it's the fresh new toy. Maybe it's just me completely off my rocker, which wouldn't be the first time.
Someone got to clip that.
I will. I think 17, like all-purpose rushing, receiving, is not out of the question.
Wow.
That's like that's rookie of the year numbers for sure.
It is.
And like I think it is definitely some bias there. I think it is some definite bias there. But I think that one of the things, and it's we touched on this yesterday, you're starting to kind of see, not a lot of outlets, but you're starting to kind of see some outlets like push the RJ Harvey offensive rookie of the year narrative a little bit. I think last year was harder because of the fact there were so many quarterbacks taken. And, you know, but if there was one thing that last year taught us was there is, if you're going to go off of one term, and that is fit. And I don't know, because we just don't know what the fit will be like for Ashton Genty with Chip Kelly, right? We certainly, I think, can project it a little bit with what he had with Trevion Henderson, Quinshon Junkins, that sort of thing. But because we already know, and what history has already shown us a little bit with Alvin Kamara, Reggie Bush, right? Darren Sproles. Like he loves the players that can be able to impact the screen game. And if there is one player that will significantly help out the screen game for the Denver Broncos, it will be RJ Harvey. And I don't think it's that crazy to truly, truly think that he is a offensive rookie of the year type of candidate.
So Bucky Irving had over 1,400 yards last year. Everybody is in love with Bucky Irving. I can see a similar effect with RJ Harvey.
I'm not saying 1,700, but I'm just saying like it is not out of the realm of possibility he's getting 1,700. I will say 1458. 1458.
All right.
Still in my 58, but that's cool.
That's the whole idea.
Matty, are you trying to hint at Von Miller coming back with that 58?
I was literally about to say the same exact thing.
I see. I mean, we're just all on good wavelengths over here.
Or he could take 40. That's fine too.
It's true. Retired 2 numbers, 58 and 40.
Kobe.
Now,
How long is it going to take the Browns to retire Shadour's number?
He doesn't make it out of his first contract, and Prime's like, all right, let's put it up there.
First preseason game?
it was good. Yeah, first.
Dude, I'm sorry, Buffs fans. Like, how embarrassed are y'all for that whole situation?
That is crazy.
Retired his number, and dude, like, wow.
Now, I'm not going to ask.
That's embarrassing. I'm sorry. But just imagine, like, 40 years from now, no one knows who this guy is at that point. And I'm sorry, but it's probably going to be true. Like, it just happens unless he's, absolute like Hall of Fame level player. I have nothing. Let me just say it right now. I have nothing against Shedeur Sanders, but I'm just like, look back at CU Buffs fans who like probably don't really know who he is 40 years from now. They're looking back at like the retired jersey numbers for the Buffs, and they're like, who is this dude? And then they look at his numbers and they're like, what did he do?
Rashawn Salam. Travis Hunter. Shedeur Sanders. It's like the dragon meme with the like the dumbass one on the end. Yeah.
All right. Now, the other question that I'm going to ask, and this is not for the biggest hater in the chat, by the way. What is the expectations for Pat Bryant in terms of his stat line? Actually, you know what, Jordan? I want you to lead us off. Do you think
I don't know if you want me to lead this one off.
You're going to go with 150 yards his rookie year, 17 drops?
I don't know if I'm the right one to be leading off this conversation.
We'll go with Brandon on this one.
I don't think it's going to be that much, to be honest. Like
150 yards, 17 drops.
I'd say like 250 yards, maybe a touchdown or two. Like I don't see him factoring into the room that much. And the biggest reason is I'm like, you already got Court and Devon Vele.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to be much. It's not even against Pat. It's just like you kind of have that skill set already a little bit. And I don't know, unless he's just going to like fully take over, like as a rookie.
Vele.
What
could take Vele's spot?
No, but like Vele's proven more.
Has he?
He's proven more than a guy who's played 0 snaps. I mean, unless he just steps into the immediate Tim Patrick role, I don't know.
Mathy Mulls.
I have him with like 412. something in that range probably for the season, and 6 touchdowns.
6 touchdowns? Oh my god.
And he might get like 80-2 like the last game of the season.
I mean, that's true.
So, yeah.
Okay, that's a fair point. Garbage time, maybe.
It's a real thing for Nick Benito.
No,
Apparently.
usually you bring the lower players off the bench to play in those games. So, I mean, what? I'm
Sliding that thing right
I
in.
mean, are we talking about garbage time stuff? Jeez, guys.
I will save Jordan for last. I was gonna say save the best for last, but I feel like this is the case where we're saving the worst for last. I wasn't trolling earlier. I think he emerges as wide receiver 2 this year. I think that he is going to surprise a lot of people. And I think he's going to surprise Mr. Person in the bottom right-hand corner. So much so that he's going to be writing an apology letter on Predominantly Orange to Pat Bryant about, why he just, I felt so bad for hating on the pick early on with my initial reaction. And I think that 530, 540, maybe even 600 yards is on the table.
Man, oh man.
I think Sean loves him. And I think that the thing is if you're going to ask, like, in the future, even if they can, extend Sutton, Bryant, Mims,
Franklin.
and Franklin is probably your highest ceiling. But I think as of right now, like, you have Vele, right? Vele, Sutton, Mims, and Bryant is your forward. Like, that's a really reliable forward. And then obviously you have Evan Ingram, thrown in there as well. Like, that's really solid. So I think that he's going to surprise a lot of people.
Well, after looking at Vele's rookie year stats, Vele had 475 and 3 tuds. And Vele didn't play every game.
He was injured.
He was hurt. So I'm going to give Pat Bryant the benefit of the doubt. I'll give him 300.
300. With how many touchdowns?
I'll give him around that 300 range. And listen, if he does become wide receiver 2 and he does have a breakout year, which, listen,
relative.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. But then if he does, I think that's a bigger issue in that wide receiver room, because that a lot of questions would need to be answered if that happens. And that probably means that our season is iffy?
Maybe. I doubt it. But
Wide receiver 2, where the hell is Mims and Franklin at? I mean, we need those guys more than anything. But I'll give him 300 yards, and I'll give him 3 touchdowns because he's a big body receiver, and at the end of the games, we can just give him the ball. But I'll give him 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I will end it with this. Pat Bryant will make people wish that Jerry Jeudy was still a Denver Bronco.
Yeah. He would.
In a sense of like, when you see his route running, you see Bryant's route running and how savvy he is, you just wish he stayed longer. That's all I'm saying. That's where I'm going to just say that is I think that Bryant will just play so well that you wish Jerry Jeudy was that kind of guy. And he wasn't, unfortunately, here.
I mean, you putting that guy's route running and his name in the same sentence as that other person, because if I say his name, there's going to be people in the chat crying.
Say his name, and it won't be Joe Hendry.
But no, if I say his name, I mean, the people in the chat are gonna start going crazy and start crying, and I don't want that right now. I'm in a good mood, so. But yeah.
Nonetheless, it's going to be a good season. And we have you guys covered over here at the Manely Broncos podcast all season long over here at the MHRT Network. Make sure you hit the subscribe button over there on MHRT Network. We do have a swag shop. I'll post a link again for the store, on social media. You guys can rep your favorite podcasts like the Manely Broncos podcast, or you can rep the network. We do have MHRT Network swag over there. You guys can go ahead and rep that. You guys can also follow the show handle at Manely Broncos. We do have an Instagram page that you guys can follow. We'll try and do a better job of like posting some clips and stuff there. The most recent one is obviously our very first post, which was a breakdown by Jordan on the Caleb Lawner draft pick. With him being a basketball coach, it was a really good breakdown about possibly his development going into the NFL. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch our rookies develop, watch the season develop, and once again, en route to another playoff appearance for the Denver Broncos. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you follow all of us there on stream. Brandon Miller at Brandon Miller PO, not to be confused with Brandon Miller, the NBA basketball player. Jordan at Jordan T. Lopez. You might see him crying every once in a while about the Boston Celtics. And Matty.
Not tonight. He's not crying about him tonight.
He is not crying about him tonight. At Jordan T. Lopez. Matty, you can follow him at Matty Mulls Pod. Do not tweet at him during a OKC and Denver Nuggets game. It can be a bit emotional, as was the case, for the last two games, if you will, when the Denver Nuggets gave both away. So yeah, it's gonna be a wild ride. Actually, as we're ending this, I'm gonna ask the innocent bystander, since he's not a Nuggets fan and he's. Do you think this goes 7 games? Jordan, do you think this goes 7 games?
I do believe it goes 7 games. I'm not going to rule out Joker on his home floor. I think it goes 7 games. At the end of the day, I do think the overwhelming talent that the Thunder do have and the coaching advantage that they have is going to take them over the top. I think they win Game 7.
And the fact they have the best player on the floor?
I wouldn't take it that far.
You're saying the Thunder have the best player on the floor?
I don't agree with that assessment.
I had to.
And you think the Nuggets win Game 7? Did I hear that? Did I hear that right?
No, I do not. I think Thunder win Game 7.
Matty, the biased one of the bunch, because there aren't Nuggets fans on stream here. Do you think it goes to Game 7?
It's certainly going to Game 7. I'm not betting against Joker at altitude at home in an elimination game. I think they did lose Game 7 against the Wolves last year at home, but like that. That's a tough thing to bet against. Like, the way he came out, hair on fire, like, dude, like Game 2, he was thinking about his horses by halftime, and he was on his horse all game in Game 5. Like the way he was playing, just his shuffle, Sonoran shuffle, whatever that's called. The like twirly do at the top of the key, throwing it up for 3 with like
that wasn't even the Sombor shuffle. That was just Jokic.
That was like Los Angeles Lakers against Anthony Davis.
It's whatever the hell it is, but like, dude, when he's playing like that, you just have to hope that nobody else steps up, and the Thunder were fortunate enough that nobody else stepped up last night. But going back to Denver, certainly role players will be elevated as well.
Do you think it would worry you though? Like if it goes Game 7, just as a Thunder fan, do you think?
Dude, of course.
Because if the Nuggets do force a Game 7 and it puts all the pressure on the world for the Thunder in Game 7 in their own building,
dude, I was in shambles after Game 1. I was in shambles after Game 3, and rightfully so. We played like dog doo-doo. Game 4, we ended up, figuring it out. Last night Game 4 was a rock fight, freaking 17-8 after the first quarter. But then last night was just great basketball going both ways. Like it was just a great NBA playoff basketball game between two teams that know each other very well. Of course I would be like Game 7, dude. Anything can happen in Game 7. Like you're talking to the guy, Game 6 Clay is a thing because guess who he did it against? Like It happens, bro. Like we're up 3-1 on the 73-win Warriors after beating the 67-win Spurs in the same playoffs. Bless you. Like it could happen.
You couldn't mute in time.
Crazy things happen. Like it's the NBA playoffs. These are all professionals and incredible players and guys the magnitude of Jokic. Of course, I'm concerned about a possible Game 7. If we could beat the hell out of them and get the hell out of Denver with the win and get some rest because it looks like the Wolves are going to put away Golden State tonight. Like, yeah, ideally that's the move, but it probably won't happen.
So then my follow-up question, and I'll ask before I ask you guys this, I'll ask the other Nuggets fan like myself in the chat, being Brandon. What do you think? Do you think they force a Game 7, Brandon? You're muted, Brandon.
I know. I do, but I don't think we're going to win it.
It's kind of how I feel.
I think it'll happen. I just feel like we're going to find a way to lose it. But I'm not surprised. I mean, again, like just this roster is not set up to win a Game 7 in this kind of series. Like we need to rebuild this around Jokic. So I do think they'll find a way to do it. I just don't think we're going to have a chance to win it.
Depth-wise, the depth was really the biggest thing. Thank you, Calvin Booth.
The reason is gone.
I was going to say who?
Yeah, he's actually in another booth. He's in the booth at home. So the follow-up question, and this goes to the innocent bystanders of the group. Do you think the Nuggets should retain Adelman?
What? Who else are they going to get? Like, yeah, like the way that he's gotten them to this point, it's not his fault MPJ doesn't have a shoulder and he can't make a bucket. It's not his fault that Westbrook is airballing threes. It's not his fault that Christian disappears at times. Like, it's Joker. Murray has to go insane like he did last night in the third. And then, like, Aaron Gordon has to be a top 5 player of all time to give that roster a chance. But he's put them in this position. I don't know who else they could get that would be better. I think you at least have to give him a shot next year.
Jordan?
I don't know. I think the easiest thing the Nuggets can do is just hire him. He's already in-house.
They don't have a general manager yet either.
That's where it comes into play. The general manager probably wants to be aligned and should be aligned with his head coach and how they want the team to be with their play style and stuff. If it was up to me, I think there are better coaches out there if you can interview the right ones and the right candidates. I do think that there's a better one than Adelman. I mean, there's been a few questionable decisions, especially in Game 1, where they won the game at OKC, where it would have been more amplified if Mark Daigneault didn't screw that one up at the end too. I thought Adelman was going to get some heat if they didn't win that game because there was a point in time where he did something really bad and he had covered up for it. But
Joker on the bench, for instance. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. If he doesn't foul on that point, which you don't have to, you don't see Joker in the last possession, especially with no timeouts. So I think there's other candidates that are better than him. But again, that's the easiest and smoothest transition. But it depends who the general manager is.
Well, one of the smoothest and easiest transitions, I think, for the Nuggets as far as hiring a general manager would be to get Brad Stevens. I don't know about you, Brandon, but like that would be great. Like just have the Cronkies just throw the absolute biggest bag at Boston Celtics. Brad Stevens, take him away, and then Jordan can just come crawling, crying, and becoming a
Brad Stevens for Joker. And then you got him.
It doesn't work like that, pal.
Then it can't work like that either.
Brad Stevens has his own problems to worry about.
Yes, he does. Because my Pookie tore his Achilles.
That was injuries freaking suck. Like I don't care who it is. Injuries in sports is just awful.
And by the way, it's one of the reasons I felt about this like in the last couple weeks. But like the tweets I see that go viral actually times make me sick. And the Tatum injury is proof of that. Like I don't need to see, certain stuff on the timeline. The guy's suffered an Achilles tear, I don't need to see Bryant references or, stuff like this. I just let the guy recover. It's nasty at times, with what I'm seeing on social media. So yeah, I think that it's just really unfortunate that things get taken a little bit too far.
Yep. I mean, I haven't the last 24 to 48 hours, legit, I haven't felt that devastated. And it's not even because we even lost to these Knicks I don't want to get into it. But it's not even because of the loss. It's just because of the whole Tatum thing. Because it's one thing to lose. I mean, we've been up 14-plus points in every single game we've played. I mean, it's not like they're beating us. We're just losing it ourselves. So I can't be that mad. We're playing like a bunch of idiots. But it's another thing when our franchise changes in a snap like that. So
yeah.
Would you trade Tatum for Giannis?
No. I'm very in favor of you need to have a jump shot to be successful in basketball. And Giannis shoots like he's a 10-year-old. So I understand that he can get 50 points by just bullying his way to the basket, but it's the reason why he hasn't been back in a while. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Just my opinion.
Yeah, sorry to go a little bit on the buddy trail, but obviously the Nuggets play tomorrow. And it's going to be Nuggets and OKC play tomorrow. And it's going to be it's a fun game. Again, thank you guys so much for hopping in. Go hit the swag shop that we'll post after this. Follow all of us on socials. We will see you guys next week. We'll see if we can be able to get a guest on, maybe get like a Broncos insider if we can, talk about this draft, talk about the schedule, and we'll get you all geared up and ready all season long for training camp and the Denver Broncos in this regular season. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys next week over here on the MHRT Network.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flame out. So high, I might never come down, so